as a result of which you are going to accumulate. But when cortisol is released, your body will, because they could probably need it in the future, right?
Many Indians today work in a very high stress environment, live in a high stress environment. They have this high functioning anxiety and an absolutely high emotional overload. Which gut brain pathway is impacted, or which are the hormones that get impacted first, and what would your input be on this?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's very pertinent, at least in today's day. So whenever someone says that they're stressed, it directly translates to their gut being stressed. Okay, their gut, there's some form of inflammation that's going around the gut, which does get affected. In terms of hormonal pathways, cortisol is the hero stress hormone here. And the problem with cortisol is, so our brains have not evolved as much from the caveman brain. Okay, so when they were stressed, for example, they were stressed because there was a shortage of food, and or they had to have a fight or flight response.
Correct.
In general, right? So whenever cortisol was released, in general, more food was stored in their body because they could probably need it in the future, right? But because there might be an attack or there might be food scarcity. Today's day and age, there is no such thing. We are very well fed, and there is no fight or flight response that is particularly required. But when cortisol is released, your body will store extra food, and that usually is seen as visceral fat. So people's cortisol levels have become higher and consistently higher, and they stay high, and they're not coming down very often because people are not engaging in as many stress busting activities. So your cortisol levels are high, so as a result of which you are going to accumulate more fat, right? And it specifically happens around your areas, mostly around the waist, which is a very common Indian body type, which is the
Correct.
skinny fat, right?
Correct.
Their arms and legs are relatively thinner, and they have a wider waist.
Right.
So cortisol is definitely something that gets affected. The second I would say is serotonin, which is your feel-good, happy hormone. 90 to 95% of serotonin is actually produced in the gut.
Absolutely.
And most people think it's the brain, but it's actually the gut. So when your gut is inflamed, the amount of serotonin you're producing is lower. So you're less happy, as a result of which you want more adrenaline and dopamine. So then you have high sugar foods. And you've seen people when they're like going through a breakup, they'll grab a tub of ice cream and they'll keep eating that, right? It's because your brain actively wants to feel better. It wants to get the immediate, instant gratification of dopamine. So then you'll crave higher sugary, fatty foods, and the amount of serotonin will not get better then,
Right.
because sugar is what feeds the bad bacteria. So you will have even more cravings and even more cravings after that. So the loop just becomes very vicious. And the third thing is microbial diversity gets impacted. So your metabolites, that is also the SCFAs that we've been talking about so much, which directly control your hunger, your energy, your insulin sensitivity, all of that also then takes a hit. So you definitely have insulin issues. You definitely, it's a cycle, like it's a
Right.
domino effect. Like one thing can lead to another, to another, to another, and it can get as serious as it can be. So you really need to stop, wait, think, change the stress responses in your brain, and then move forward, because it has some really long-term effects.
Long-term effects, right? No, that's very true, because as much as cortisol gets the bad rep, I think that cortisol was the one that helped our ancestors survive.
Definitely.
Right? It gave you the glucose you needed when you had to fight or when you had to survive without food. And what we definitely experience in a high stress environment today is how your cortisol spikes up. There's more glucose in the blood, then the insulin comes in. The insulin's trying to store, so you're storing more fat. And over the period of time, this is what leads to insulin resistance, right?
Yes.
So I truly believe that, I call it the internal hotline between the brain and the gut, and the gut and the brain, because you're constantly in touch. And if you're overly using that hotline, then something's getting affected a little too much. And while these words of cortisol, which has become this demon suddenly, and you've got insulin resistance that gotten such a big importance in the industry or in social media now, I think it's very important to understand that stress and underlying stress, or just stressing about this, is going to release more cortisol, is going to release more insulin, is going to just keep this rolling up.
That's the problem, because honestly, short-term stress is actually good for your body.
Absolutely.
You need cortisol to function better, to activate certain pathways in your brain that makes you more efficient at a task, right? And like I said, it's been going on for generations for us. It's the maintenance of cortisol at a high level consistently that then causes adverse effects in your body. So short-term
Absolutely.
cortisol is actually good. It has gotten a really bad rep, but that's
Yes.
only because people, the cortisol levels don't come down. They just
Correct.
stay
They're just
high.
skyrocketing with time.
Completely.
Absolutely. And that's where the inflammation goes higher and higher, and all the autoimmune, the chronic inflammation. And I think when you spoke of serotonin, I would say the same thing, because what happens is a lot of times people start to they start to love workouts. Now, your exercise, low intensity, moderate intensity, increases serotonin. Now, people love that, but sometimes take it up a notch way too higher. Now, to inform and to educate that high intensity workout actually will start bringing in more inflammation, so you need to balance that out. So many times people come in with such high intensity workout, eat okay, I wouldn't say bad, but they come with the thing of I'm not losing weight anymore. And that's where to help them to say you have to pace down on your workout, you have to help your gut work with your workouts to help you with weight loss. And which is where when you spoke of the Truly Fit, I think that combination becomes so important, because you can work out but you also work with the good gut microbiome and let that journey help you with your goals.
Absolutely. And I've usually seen this with women who suffer from PCOS, PCOD, where they're engaged in like very high cortisol, high intensity interval trainings. And I'm just like, you need to experiment with enough kind of exercises to know what works for you. Because I've had case studies where women have shifted. I mean, strength training is extremely important, don't get me wrong. But your HIIT workouts, when they've shifted from doing that thrice a week to then incorporating a little more yoga, a little more balanced workouts, they've just felt better.